Hello and welcome. I hope you're having a great start to your week. Today I want to kick off a special series about the single most important thing for any video game. It's core design. So I very often see enthusiastic new developers focus entirely on game engineering. So in their eyes, it might look like okay, all great game engineers just focus on the code. But as we've discussed before, engineering is there to facilitate game design. So there has to be game design from the start. And if there isn't one, then even the most genius engineer cannot make a game fun. So I've named this series From Idea to Game Design. Let's begin. Day 1, the core loop. Alright, let's talk about the core game loop. If game design is a game's brain, then the core loop is its frontal cortex. It's the central cycle of activities that keeps a player hooked from the moment they start playing to the very end. If we can't find it, if it isn't strong, our game will feel like a zombie, and a boring one at that. So how do we find this central cycle? Let's look at a few examples. Think about the loops in these classic games. In Stardew Valley, the loop is farm, which lets you sell crops for money, which in turn lets you upgrade your tool and farm. In Hades, it is fight your way through the underworld, inevitably die, and then use what you've learned to upgrade your character for the next run. And in Doom, it's a beautifully aggressive loop. Kill a demon, get health and ammo back from the kill, which empowers you to kill more demons. So it feels like they are all spiraling up cycles, not cycle in place, but still cycles. This loop constantly answers the player's subconscious question, what should I do next? Without a clear loop, players get lost. With the one, they can stay engaged for hours. It truly is the engine of fun. Now, here's the common pitfall many developers fall into. They start adding mechanics without thinking about how they connect. What if I add crafting and fishing? Oh, and stealth. But these mechanics don't feed into each other to form a strong, cohesive loop if you're not careful enough. The result would be a design that feels busy but ultimately shallow. So to kickstart your process, here's a simple tip. Try to write your core loop in one sentence before you even start prototyping. Use a simple template, like the player will perform an action to get a reward, which lets them invest or progress. If you can't distill your idea into a sentence like that, your design probably isn't clear enough yet. So please get that sorted out before you start coding. Ask yourself right now, what is my game's loop? Day 2, the one mechanic. As small developers, we can't afford to do many things well in our games. Honestly, seeing more recent AAA titles, I don't think that's working for large developers either. So our game should be about one thing, one central mechanic that we do really, really well. This one thing is the main verb your player uses, the single action they perform more than any other. It could be jumping, shooting, talking, or crafting. For example, in the Crime Sims Schedule 1, the one thing is a chain of actions, crafting plus distributing. It's a hands-on interactive thing that's very easy to grasp and practice. The rest of the game, expanding your empire, hiring staff, all grows from that central chain. And notice how it perfectly fuels the core loop we talk about. Produce, then sell, then upgrade. It really is a beautiful thing when it all works together. The pitfall here is what I call a mechanic soup. Let's say I start with a really cool jump mechanic, but then I get excited and added a crafting system, then a dialogue tree, then shooting. And suddenly none of those systems feel great and my game has become confusing mishmash. So don't be like me. Anyway, to reinforce this idea, ask yourself this simple, powerful question. If I had to cut my game down to just one mechanic, what would stay? Your answer is your one thing. Day 3, from seed to tree, growing your systems. We now have our core loop and our core mechanic. Great. Now it's time to grow that seed into a tree by building systems around it. A system isn't just another set of mechanics or verbs. It's a set of rules and interactions that are built around your core mechanic. Think of it as the framework that gives that mechanic context, depth, and meaning. Use the how, why, and when to your what. Let's use a simple core mechanic as an example. The jump. Can we grow systems from it? Of course we can. For example, one, a stamina system, which limits how often you can jump, adding a layer of resource management. Two, a surface system, where some walls allow for wall jumps, while others are slippery or sticky. And three, environmental forces, like wind that pushes you, or low gravity zones that makes you float. Notice that these systems are chosen to be symbiotic. They work together to make simple act of jumping more interesting. For a masterclass example of this, to look at The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Its core mechanic is exploration, in my opinion, but this is supported by interlocking systems, a physics system where fire spreads, a weather system where rain puts out fire, and an elemental system where wood burns and metal conducts electricity. Multiple simple systems interlocking to bring the world and the core mechanic to life. This synergy directly feeds the core loop. Explore, encounter a challenge, experiment how to solve it, get a reward, and then progress the exploration. So as you design, ask yourself these questions. What system can amplify my core verb? What can constrain it to create fun challenges? And what can transform it into something new? Day 4. Let it be deeper. Okay, so far we've got a strong core loop, the one true mechanic, and systems that reinforce it. Very nice, but what if players are still getting bored after a short time? What's missing there? I would say check your depth. Game design depth is when many meaningful decisions emerge from a small set of simple rules. It's not about adding more features, it's about how much mileage you can squeeze from what you already have. Depth rewards players for sharpening their skills and combining their abilities in clever ways. Let's look at Vampire Survivor. The core loop is move, kill, upgrade, survive. The one true mechanic is simply moving and positioning your character. That's all you do. The game already handles attacks for you, and yet the game explodes with its strategic depth. How? The answer lies in the choices you make when you level up. Which weapons do you pick? Which passive items do you pair it with? How do they synergize to create screen clearing build? The depth comes from the design tricks. Weapon synergies that require specific pairings, escalating waves of enemies that forces you to adapt, and new enemy types that demand new position tactics. It proved that depth can exist with almost no mechanical complexity. We don't need 20 verbs to make a game fascinating. We need one verb recontextualized 100 ways. So here's the practical tip. Before adding a new mechanic, ask yourself, does this multiply the player's meaningful decisions, or does it just add one more thing for them to track? If it's just noise, cut it like a surgical strike, just like what Alexander the Great did to the Gordian knot. Level 5. Oh, day 5. Level the playground. Now we got our loops, mechanics, and systems, but today we make them face reality, because most mechanics only look brilliant on paper. They only truly become alive once a level forces the player to use them. Level design is the moment of the truth. So what is level design? It's not just making cool looking maps. Level design is the art of executing a game's rules and mechanics within a game space. A great level does two things. First, it teaches the player what they can do, and then it tests if they actually understood. The ultimate masterclass in this philosophy is the game Portal. Every single test chamber is a perfect lesson plan. First, it introduces a new concept like momentum. Second, you get to practice it in a simple, safe puzzle. Third, you have to combine that new skill with your existing knowledge, like using momentum with your portal gun. And finally, you are tested with a complex challenge that requires a mastery of both. The game teaches you everything without a single tutorial pop up. By the end, you've graduated from an invisible school of puzzle solving. Okay, but we must be cautious. A common pitfall is polishing a level too soon. Don't be dazzled by fancy tools. There are lots of tools out there, I know, but at the start, please use whatever is fastest for you, like great boxing in your favorite engine, using simple blockouts, or even just sketching on paper. Whatever works. Here's a tip: build a small, ugly test level designed to answer only one question, such as: is this jump fun? Is this puzzle clever? Is this encounter balanced? If the answer is yes, keep it. If not, toss it out guilt free. Day 6: Reward structures. Okay, we've built our mechanics, our systems, and our levels. Now it's time to give players the motivation to keep playing. Let's talk about the fuel for our game engine: rewards. When we hear rewards, some might just think of loot or cosmetic items. But as game designers, we know it's deeper than that. There are two main flavors: extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic rewards are the tangible things you get, the external validation. This includes progression currencies like gold or experience points, new gears and upgrades, meta progressions like new characters and surprising loot drops. Intrinsic rewards is different than that. They are the positive feelings you get from the act of playing itself, the internal satisfaction. This is the feeling of skill growth, the joy of creativity and self-expression, the thrill of discovery, and the sense of connection when you share triumph with others. Both types have their strengths and weaknesses. Extrinsic rewards are like the hook. They are great short-term motivators and provide clear goals, but they can lead to burnout if they are the only thing driving the player. Intrinsic rewards are the glue. They create deep, long-term engagement and a loyal player base, but they are harder to design for and can feel aimless without some structure. The best games strike balance, like Minecraft. Minecraft is a masterclass in this. The extrinsic rewards are clear: the hunt for diamonds, enchanting your gears, and beating the Ender Dragon, etc. But the intrinsic rewards are what keeps people playing for years. The deep satisfaction of building your perfect house, the wonder of discovering a huge cave system, or the pride in creating complex redstone machine. As designers, our goal is to make our extrinsic rewards support and enhance the intrinsic fun. You think about your own project or a game you can't stop playing and ask, what is the reward structure that keeps this player coming back for more? Okay, finally, that's a wrap for our From Idea to Game Design Week. We've journeyed through the very core of a game, the core loop, all the way to the reward system that keeps player engaged. We've talked about focusing on one core mechanic, grow systems around it, creating depth, and building levels that bring it all to life. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope these ideas help you think more like a designer and give you a clearer path from what first spark of an idea to a truly engaging game. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see all of your awesome games soon.